But Seroptimist International is a global voice for women. We advocate for human rights and gender equality at a grassroots level and internationally through our work at the UN centres. We have a number of position statements on where we stand, and this is really where our voice matters. And our Simni members use this capacity at a local and national level to make sure that our concerns are elevated to those in powers of decision making through participation in submissions when there's inquiries and legislative changes going on. And that really, I think, resonates with the changes that we've just seen at the current federal election, where we have more women elected into Parliament now. And what we all need to do, regardless of our personal political preferences, is to ensure that those women actually know that their voice matters and that they will also be there being our voice too. So I'm really looking forward to ensuring that we continue that level of advocacy. Yeah, welcome from Gubby Gubby Land, Cabby Cabby Land, here at Deception Bay. I am really thrilled to have the opportunity to host our Seroptimist International Moreton North Meet the Members session today. I am super excited that we have finally been able to get 3 of our NCWQ bursary recipients with us, Nadja, Anna, and Kaede. I'm thrilled that Kathy Kavanagh, who is the NCWQ bursary coordinator, is also able to join us. She's been instrumental in coordinating these awards for many, many years. And I know she takes a lot of pride and pleasure in being able to see the success of these young bursary recipients. So Simni, for 5 years, has had an NCWQ bursary in creative industries. And today we have 3 of our recipients, Nadja, Anna, and Kaede, able to join us. 2 have gone on to create a very exciting alternate short film, not documentary, as I was, reminded. And we also have Kaede, who is just in the process of having completed her production. So today, just before we get started, it's also the first anniversary of the celebration of life of one of our past members, Kate Chappello, who passed away. And our hearts are with Rod and his family. Kate was very instrumental in hosting 7 of our Simni members when we went to New York for the Commission on the Status of Women. And it was one of the saddest things during the COVID situation for Rod and his family. So our hearts and thoughts are with them today. And he sends his best wishes to us. One of his great motivations is that women and girls of the world are the ones that are the leaders and can make an impact. So I know he'll celebrate and enjoy this recording later with us. Now, what we might do is just provide an opportunity for Nadja, Anna, and Kaede just to say hello, to share a little bit about their journey in where they're at now. And I'd like them to just think on the difference it made for them to be a recipient of a bursary and what they were able to use that $1,000 for. So Anna, as our first one that's here, would you like to start?
Sure thing. Hello, everyone. I'm Anna. I work as a videographer, but we used the Simni bursary to support our short films that we made at film school. Me and Nadja graduated in 2020. And yeah, so for that most recent short film, I was the writer and director, and Nadja was the producer. So yeah, also I received a Simni bursary back in 2019 for a different short film. So we've been very, very lucky to have so much support. And yeah, it like $1,000 made such a huge difference for us. Like film school projects are self-funded by students. And when you're in those key creative roles, you contribute the most, so you always kind of feel the burden of that. But I guess it hasn't stopped us from trying to be ambitious and just trying to squeeze everything we can out of each dollar. So yeah, it just made the biggest difference in the world. And also there's definitely a lack of female creatives still in the film industry. So just to have that extra support from all of you, and also the support from Chris and just like inviting us into this community. Yeah, it's just made such a huge difference. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Nadja, would you like to share a few words?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us this morning. I hope my mic is working. Yes, all good. Yeah, I mean, what Anna said summarizes everything really nicely. I work as an editor in South Brisbane at the moment. So at the moment I'm working on TV shows, recently a music video, which was really exciting, even a documentary at the moment. So yeah, on Vegan I actually produced the film, but after film school I decided that editing is probably more my thing. But nonetheless, I learned so many amazing skills that I can use in the future through producing such an ambitious project with Anna. And yeah, the bursary was considerably, it was so helpful in terms of managing the budget, especially in the producer role. You're responsible for managing the crew, locations, and the budget is so important to manage. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous this morning. That probably shines through, but yeah, thank you.
That's the difference of being in front of the camera instead of behind it.
Yeah, for sure, yes.
That's
we're
awesome.
behind the camera for a reason.
Lovely. Now, Kaede, you are our 2020-21 recipient, and you've just finalized your production and it's currently being assessed. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. So hello everyone, my name is Kaede. Thank you so much for having us today. Yeah, as Chris said, I just wrapped up on my graduate film that I made during film school. I think I'm the complete opposite of Nadja. Editing is not for me, as I figured out a couple of months ago. Last year, I got this bursary right in the middle of, I want to say, lockdown number 5 or 6, which was great. It kept me going through pre-production and it came at a great time. I actually used a bursary for this graduate film and $1,000, as both Nadja and Anna said. Film is great, but it also costs a lot. And I was the director, producer, and writer, so I self-funded the whole entire thing myself. And it went towards locations, catering, anything to do with cast and crew members. We also had a sheep and horses on location, so it went towards wrangling those animals as well. So yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
That's wonderful, Kaede. And what was very exciting last year was that we actually had one of our other young members, Samara, on the selection panel. And Samara sends her apologies this morning. She's actually working at one of the art galleries. So the benefits of being able to video this is that we can share it with others as well. Now, the other exciting thing about today's get together is that we received a very small grant from our Moreton Bay Regional Council, and that's to work with the students at the Kairos Community College on their curriculum for this year, which is all about social impact. And they are in the process of looking at reviewing different dramas and activities and coming up with some of their own resources. So part of the plan is that if we can actually have an opportunity for them to meet Nadja, Kaede, and Anna, then we'll do that. But this recording will also hopefully inspire them to have a look at the voices of young people and the importance of making sure that the issues that are relevant to them are also out there. And that leads us into the whole concept of Beacon and the story behind it. And I know when I first watched it, it was like, oh, wow, okay, so that's a bit different. But as I've rewatched it a few times, it does have a very powerful message. And if all goes well and we can actually watch the screening, we'll keep our fingers crossed. But just before we try to do that, Nadja and Anna, would you like to just share a little of an insight into what inspired you with the theme, Beacon? And also just share a little bit about some of the challenges that you faced in not just producing it, but what happened when you released it and how you actually got it out there in some of the film festivals, because there's some very exciting things that have occurred as a consequence of that as well, hasn't there?
Do you want me to start, Nadia? Or?
Yeah, if you're happy to.
Okay. There were quite a few questions there. But yeah, no, Beacon, definitely like not only in the story itself, but also just literally like we made it a huge priority for us to have lots of female cast and crew. So just showcasing the talents of lots of women in the film industry in Brisbane was really important to us. In our graduating class, there were only 5 female directors. So yeah, it was really meaningful to me that we had the support and everything so that I could step up into that role, which was great. And it's kind of indicative of the actual industry where female directors are still pretty rare, but there's more of us coming through, which is, we're going in the right direction, definitely. So yeah, the themes in Beacon, hopefully they can resonate with young women who watch it. The protagonist of the film, Goose, starts off quite kind of meek, and she kind of comes into her own and ends up taking a path that no one expects of her. And it also, I guess another theme in the film is that certain people will always be persecuted for their usefulness through no fault of their own. So yeah, there's some ideas there, but I don't like to talk too much about themes. Like, I'd rather you just watch it and see what it means to you. But yeah, and I guess even just having a female protagonist in a genre film it's becoming more common, which is good. But yeah, I guess just writing like an authentic 3-dimensional character was really important to me, and I'm still finding my voice as a screenwriter. But you know, I think we did it to some extent. And yeah, I guess yeah, just having a female protagonist written by a female screenwriter is something that needs to happen more often. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know, Nadia, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, you covered it really well. On a distribution level, I'm pretty sure when Anna and I started making Beacon at the start of 2020, we weren't expecting to still be working on it 2.5 years later down the line. It feels like a roller coaster that just won't stop, but in a great way. So since we started entering the festival circuit, we've been accepted into, I think, 4 different festivals, but we've only screened at 2 because there are very strict requirements regarding your premiere in a certain country. So the festivals that we've actually screened at are Sick Chick Flicks in North Carolina, and we were lucky enough to actually win the Best Female Lead and Best Sci-Fi Film, which is incredible, and Anna and I were absolutely thrilled to find out. And the other festival was Flickerfest, which is actually based in Bondi Beach, Sydney. And unfortunately, Anna and I couldn't make it down there, but Flickerfest actually circled back to Brisbane a couple months ago, and we were able to present our film and watch it in a crowd. And yeah, it was a pretty surreal experience seeing our film on the big screen. Yeah, so yeah, that's where we are with distribution so far. we're still waiting to hear back from a few festivals about whether or not we've been accepted, but I think we've done really well so far and we should be proud of ourselves.
Absolutely. And I think it's really good insight to learn some of the challenges around, well, what does it mean when you actually complete a short film? What are some of the other things that you need to know? And I know Kaede will certainly benefit from some of the wisdom and being able to interact with you. All right, so fingers crossed. Trish, let's see if we can go to the link and actually explore what Beacon's all about. Wow. How powerful was that?
Wow, that was awesome. I want to know what happens next. This could be a huge series. Huh.
I think when you watch the credits at the end, in particular, you know, of a 15-minute short film and how much time, effort, and people were involved in creating that is just phenomenal. So this is a first for us to be able to do something like this at our Meet the Members Zoom meetings. So thank you for the technical assistance, Trish. That was pretty amazing. Yeah. And Anna and Nadia, you must be so proud of that contribution. So I guess you'd like some feedback on what others thought about the short film. So Bettina, would you like to share your thoughts as our resident storyteller? You're still on mute.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic, but I guess that the questions that I'd like to talk to you about is creating the story, like the writing, but also the continuity. But I'm also really interested in the task of directing. So that relationship between writing and you said you wrote it yourself, Anna, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
So can you talk a little bit about actually writing for screen? That would be fascinating. I'd love to hear a bit about that.
Like just, I guess, what you do differently with storytelling if you're writing a script sort of thing?
Yeah, but I guess also the relationship with, that relationship.
Kind of writing
between,
with the directing in mind sort of thing?
That's it, thanks, yeah.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I definitely don't pretend to be an expert on this. I definitely aspire to be a screenwriter, but like, you know, haven't made that many films yet. But yeah, screenwriting is, I think it's really fascinating. It's kind of its own thing. It draws from like, you know, storytelling is like part of being human. So it draws from so many like fundamental things and the way we've been telling stories forever, but also it has its own things. I guess when you point a camera at something, it kind of straight away, it's very easy for like the artifice to come through because you've composed the scene and you've got people in makeup pretending to feel these things. So you need a really strong script behind it, just with authentic emotions and characters that feel real and believable and who want things and react in a way that's believable. So I guess the main thing with screenwriting, that's a big thing to say, the main thing about screenwriting, but a big thing is just making everything feel believable and real. Yeah, and you inject a lot of real life into it, and I guess, yeah, just trying to write something authentic and real is the goal always.
Yeah. I also really loved that. I can see that you're very spare with language. You need to be spare, and I guess that is the relationship when you're thinking about getting the story across, but at the same time having visual to help get the story across. So I imagine that in a directing, that would be the main part of being a director, is to actually not overload with words. I don't know. That's what struck me. What do you think?
Yeah, there's this adage in filmmaking that's like, well, filmmaking and screenwriting that's like show, don't tell. So you try not to have laborious dialogue, and you try not to, you need to assume that your audience is smart, and you don't need to over explain stuff. So yeah, it's all about distilling it, and you'll write a super long first draft, but you're always trying to peel back and have as little as you can, just to have the essence of the ideas come across. Because yeah, audiences are smart. They've seen plenty of films before, so you don't need to talk down to them. Yeah, so yeah, definitely agree with what you said there.
Nadia, do you have some thoughts on that as well?
I'm definitely not a director, but yeah, I think Anna did a very great job in showing and not telling, because, you know, movies we watch a movie to watch it. We don't want to you know, read. Yeah.
Would you have anything, like, I guess from the perspective of an editor, Nadia, like any interesting things? We had a very talented editor, Joseph, on this film, but when you're directing, you kind of sit there with the editor the whole time, in a little dark room with a computer for like weeks on end, just editing, trying to get the best cut of the film. But yeah, I guess, is there anything about the storytelling that came through in the edit that you might have noticed, Nadia? Not to completely put you on the spot here.
Yeah, Joseph did a really great job. I think he really focuses in on the characters and holds on those moments where you see a reaction, and that's a really important part of this story, because it is an emotional story. We didn't just want to create like a blockbuster-esque movie with action. We wanted the audience to feel something too and be able to empathize with the characters. So yeah, those close-ups of all the characters we have, they're there for a reason, and we really hope that everyone who watched it today is able to connect with the characters on some level.
And also, I guess, since the pandemic kind of happened right when we were about to start shooting Beacon, we had a lot of delays, and I kind of had a bit more time to work on the script than I expected. So pretty much everything that we shot made it into the film. Like, sometimes in the editing process, you can change the film a lot. But for us, it pretty much all, like, yeah, strictly, it stuck pretty closely to the script, just because we'd, you know, gone over the story so many times, and really streamlined it to what we thought we needed.
Anna, I really enjoyed the detail of some of the scenes, and I'm like, did you write things into the script, like such as when we looked through the ladder at the sneaker coming down, like those little touches, really, they were brilliant. You know, that little subtle, it just added to the mood, and it told us so much. Like, do you write those into the script, or is that something that the videographer who's running the camera sort of thinks of, and like, where does that fit, those little touches?
That's a great question. I can't remember specifically for that one. Like, there might have been a mention of like Goose's sneaker like slowly disappears through the bunker roof or something. I don't remember that particular bit. But I guess with that sort of stuff, yeah, it could be in the script specifically, or we could have kind of found it in rehearsal with the actors, just trying out the movements and kind of seeing what happened. And I guess that's the really fun part about film, is it's so collaborative, and you have so many talented people who will throw ideas at you. And really, as the director,
really.
Thank you so much.
And your angles, like when you had the bad, and he looked like a bad guy, you know, like when, and he was up, and when he stood up on the back of the ute, and you know the power, like just all those. I love. It's like you're not just watching a film; you're having all these enriched experiences. You know, it's like having a meal that has a gravy and a garnish and a flavors. It was really great. Well done.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm very glad to hear that. But yeah, it's such a collaborative thing. Yeah, I guess a big part of directing is just being open to ideas and trying not to have too much ego and just trying to serve the story, because you've got all these really smart people throwing amazing ideas at you, and you just have to pick the ones that work the best. Yeah, with the angles and stuff, I guess some of that would have been like the director of photography, but again, I worked really closely with him to storyboard the film. So we had little drawn pictures of every single frame that you saw. So again, since filmmaking is so expensive, we do as much preparation as we can on paper. So
awesome. Now, Kaede, you've had the benefit now of actually seeing a production come to fruition, as well as you've had a chance to interact with Anna a little bit when you were both down in Melbourne. Given that you encompassed all of those things into your production, do you want to share a little bit about your story and how you found some of the challenges of putting that all together?
Yeah, sure. I just want to say, Anna and Nadia, that was fantastic. Purely from like a logistical filmmaking, I have a producer hat on right now because I'm producing a film, but so many night shoots. I like massive applause to you guys for that. But yes, I think we were in a very much similar position to Beacon in that we were supposed to shoot my grad film in March of 2020, which didn't end up happening. So after, I think it was like 6 lockdowns, 2 or 3 cancelled shoot slots, and multiple recasting, later we finally shot the film, but that also gave us a lot of time for me to keep working on the script and churning out new drafts. I think the final shooting script ended up being my 13th draft or 14th, I can't fully remember. And what both Anna and Nadia touched on earlier, one of the scenes I significantly restructured during the edit. I would probably say the post-production side was more stressful than the pre-production or the production itself. Yeah, production was great. We shot on a farm, so we all stayed at a rural location and we woke up to chickens and cows and sheep, and that was great. They all were very loud in the film, so that was something that we had to overcome for sound issues, which we didn't prep for because we didn't think of it. But yeah, we also worked with, I think 60% of the crew were all female. The cast, there's only 2 characters, both are female girls. And because my grad film is based on my own story about immigrating to Australia. It's about a 13-year-old girl who learns to speak English by communicating with animals at a petting farm. So the casting crew, 80% of the casting crew were made up of first and second generation immigrants, which I'm very pleased and proud of. But yeah, it was overall a great experience. I learned heaps and I can't wait for the next project.
Marnie.
Girls, do you find it hard to let go some of the stuff that you've put into it when you're editing? I know with a book you go, oh no, I can't leave that out, or I can't leave that out. I want to put it all in, and it becomes too much, but then you've got to try and decide which parts to let go for now.
I definitely do. Yeah, I did. As part of the grad film, our cutoff time limit was 10 minutes. I think my first cut was 20 minutes. I don't know about you, Nadia and Anna, but I find it really hard if I know how much effort other people have put on behind the scenes. Especially like an example I have is we spent like 3.5 hours lighting a bedroom scene that I just had to completely cut out because it didn't make sense for the storyline. But that was so hard to let go.
You know, you can always reuse those cutout scenes in something else, don't you?
Yes.
They're not gone forever. They're just gone for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree. Yeah. In the script, it's hard to cut out scenes that you love, and when you're in post And yeah, like Katie said, when everyone's put so much effort in, you feel like a monster for cutting out these beautiful scenes. But yeah, you just have to do what's best for the story. There's one particular scene in Beacon. It was a very short scene, just of two characters driving, but it looked beautiful, and like the performances are amazing. But yeah, we had to cut it, but I still put it in my show reel, so it doesn't matter.
I love that. And I love the little short Facebook excerpt that I sent the link out to members too about the behind the scenes things, you know, because I think that just gives that real sense of authenticity and how many people are actually involved, and the great relief of, oh, that's a cut, you know, that's a take, that's a wrap. So very exciting. I'd like to just invite Kathy, if you'd like to share a few thoughts, Kathy, on, you know, a little of the bursary, but also about hearing the great stories of these three and where they've gone on from there.
Yeah, sure. The bursary program actually started in 2009 with 2 bursaries. This year we've got 36. Our record a couple of years ago was 40. So it's certainly gone quite a way. I think the total without this year is something like 286 or 296 or something. Bursaries have been awarded over that period of time. So it's quite an extensive program. We're in the middle of making selections at the moment for this year, so it's fairly full on. And it's been interesting actually that the number of applicants has really declined over the pandemic, and we're at a bit of a loss to know why, because I'm damn sure the need hasn't decreased. But I guess it's with primarily uni students being thrown to so much online study and losing some of the social contacts that has normally been part of university life that has led to that. So yeah, we're in a bit of mystery as to why that is the case, because nothing else has changed. The promotion and all those sorts of things that we do has remained the same or increased. So yes, it's just interesting that that decline has happened. I don't think it's because the bursaries are no longer relevant, and we still get really good applications. So it's just interesting to know why that's happening at the moment.
Kathy, one comment I heard made was that some of the students are in such overwhelm that the application process just seemed daunting, and it was just another job that they just couldn't get their heads around.
Yes, I think that could be the case. We've actually moved the last 2 years to an online application process. I would imagine that that's fairly straightforward for most uni students to cope with an online process, although there's always a few glitches, but you know, we've got workarounds if there are glitches. And the other thing I thought a couple of weeks ago, there was an article in the press about the high rates of depression and anxiety for university students. And I thought that perhaps could be a factor, because if you're depressed or anxious, your function of the world sort of drops somewhat, and perhaps the sense of worth of, well, I wouldn't get one, so I won't bother to apply. I don't know, that's just my theory from when I read that article about the higher rates of depression and anxiety. So we're certainly keen as an organisation to know of any insight into that issue, so that we can perhaps address it in what we do. But yeah, this program's certainly alive and well. And as I say, we're in the middle of determining this year's recipients, which we know will be another group of amazing women.
Thanks, Kathy. I think we were very fortunate that we did get a chance to actually meet Nadja in the midst of some of the challenges of the COVID and social isolation, and we were able to organise a very small presentation up here in the Moreton Bay region, which enabled some of the other recipients from around this area to come together too. So it was fabulous, but it's been very challenging trying to catch up with you young ones in between that phase to make sure that we induct you and that you get to enjoy the benefits of being part of Seroptimist International and the larger group, you know, that are here supporting you and encouraging you. And I guess for me, one of the most exciting things about these short films is how you're using your voice to raise issues that matter to you. And we were also very fortunate to receive some small funding from the Muriel Barber Fund to look at our retention and recruitment processes for women. And my president's term last year and this year is Your Voice Matters. So one of the things that we were able to do is use some of that small funding for some advertising. And little brag moment here is the latest edition of the Women's Network Australia magazine has just come out. And there is 2 articles. Let me see if I can hold it up right. One of them is your most important power skill is your voice. And the other one is on the work that Seroptimists are doing in solidarity. And this particular article, and then down the bottom, you'll see a little advertisement, is some of the work that our Seroptimist members are helping with refugees and women from the Ukraine and Russia that are currently impacted by this incredibly traumatic experience that they're going through at the moment. And for those that just heard the news and what's happening in America with some of the repeals to their legislation is absolutely horrific. So the power of the voices, particularly of women, have never been more significant than the moment. And that's really, really relevant. So Anna, you also received an extra special award that you're yet to take advantage of because of COVID. Can you just share a little about that with us, please?
For sure, yeah. So in 2020, when the pandemic happened, obviously, yeah, had a huge impact on everyone. But I guess with classes moving online and stuff, I had a bit more spare time. So I decided to apply for the new Colombo Plan scholarship, which is run by the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade of the Australian government, and gives you funding to travel to somewhere in the Indo-Pacific to study and do internships and kind of strengthen the bonds between Australia and our Indo-Pacific neighbours. So I was lucky enough to be successful. So later this year, I'll be heading off to Japan to work on a feature-length screenplay at a Japanese film school. And also I'll be doing internships around the country and learning more Japanese language. And then after that, I'll be doing, 12 months in Japan and then probably 4 months in South Korea to do some internships and language training over there. It's going to be an amazing experience. I haven't done much overseas travel at all. I think it'll be pretty life-changing.
And we have a lot of Seroptimist clubs in Japan and South Korea, and I'll be very keen to link you up with them as you embark on that. And awesome. Kaede is actually off to Japan next month to catch up with some of her family. Do you want to just share a little about that, Kaede?
Yeah, we're just traveling for very much personal reasons, but I haven't, I grew up in Japan, so I still have all of my family members there, and haven't seen my grandparents in, I think, 4 years, so I think it's about time to pop in and say hello for about a month. We're very excited about that.
Maybe you two can continue this amazing connection between, one coming from Japan to Australia, sharing her experiences, and then another actually going to Japan to develop some more life experiences there. So that's really exciting. We've just had a week of looking at the impacts of refugees in Australia and around the world. And between the 3rd and 10th of July, we celebrate NAIDOC Week. So there's a lot of issues in Australia really that are looking at human rights, social justice, and our voices are needed to make sure that what we want to see in this country comes to pass, particularly for women and the future of our young people. I'd like to just ask Kaede, Nadja, and Anna, if you were talking with the students at Kairos in regard to thoughts that they have about social impact and a key message that they want to get out there, what would some of your thoughts be that you would share with them if they were here with us now? Anna, do you want to start?
Yeah, sorry. So was the question like, what thoughts would I give about how to get their voice out there, or how to like have a social impact? Or
yeah,
sorry, just to make sure I understood.
Yeah, how would they use their voice? And that can be in images, it might be a poster, it could be, you know, a little documentary. It's like, what encouragement would you give them? You know, where would that passion come from about the social impact that they think is really important to them?
Sure. I guess a big thing in, I guess with, you know, with social media and the internet and everything, it can feel like your voice doesn't matter and that everything that can be said has been said before. So there's no point trying to speak out about things like this. But I think definitely if you find something that matters to you and that you want to make a difference in, you definitely can make a tangible difference in people's lives. Even if it's just like helping one person, you know, you can improve someone's life so much. So yeah, I would say just find something that motivates them and just continue trying to have an impact. Find something that's meaningful to you.
Great, thanks, Anna. Nadja?
Yeah, I'd say networking is a massive part of synthesizing everyone's ideas. And the more people you have to support your cause, the more resources you have access to, and the more platforms you can get your message across through. So yeah, like Anna said, although these days social media can make you feel like your voice is very much drained out by everyone else's opinion, I also think social media is a very important aspect of it's a very important means of getting your message out there. And yeah, I mean, these days it's so easy to create a Facebook page and share it with all your friends, and people will see it. Like you can actually invite people to like your page, and it's just so easy to create material that people see these days.
Okay, thank you. Kaede, have you got some thoughts you'd like to share?
Yeah, I completely agree with what Anna and Nadja have already said. I think collaborating and speaking with other people and hearing their perspectives would definitely help and will go a long way. I think specifically for filmmaking or music or any other types of art, collaboration, and also you're able to put your own sort of perspective through different artistic voices that you have to speak about whatever topics that you want to. And I think, yeah, posting them on social media or having little screenings with your community behind it will go such a long way, I think.
Great. And I know one of the plans with the Kairos students is for this message to be shared during Mental Health Week in October. with a particular emphasis, around, are you okay? And I guess that's the big message that everyone's trying to ensure out there, because social media has a lot of benefits on how it can get different messages out there, but it can also work in the reverse, where you get a lot of other people that target people who are vulnerable and can be quite nasty. How do you think you cope with that kind of criticism and that negativity? What are some of the strategies that you use to ensure that you're okay when you're trying to get a message out there or doing the work that you're doing?
In relation to like social media in particular, or just in general?
Social media in particular, because I think, as you said, there's so many variations of what everybody, but in particular young people, can use. And I think TikTok and Instagram and, some of it is a lot about images more so than words. But the negativity that can impact on there, if you get a lot of trolls or others that just, for some strange reason, take a lot of delight in pulling down other people because they can. And then it's about, how do you retract from that and, retain that self-worth, that your voice is important and what you think is really important.
Yeah, for sure. I think there are steps you can take to try and make your social media use a bit more healthy. Just being conscious of what you're following and like, is following this page actually like making my life happier and making me feel better, or like, does this actually bring me down? In terms of people you interact with and stuff, like, you can always block people. I think just trying to be conscious and mindful of the impact that scrolling through stuff is having on you can help a lot with social media and stuff like that. Like Nadja said, it's an incredible tool. But yeah, you just need to think about how you're using it. It's very easy to just be swept up in it and spend hours just kind of doom scrolling and looking through and feeling, seeing some awful things happening around the world, or feeling like you're not measuring up to other people. So yeah, just trying to be conscious. I mean, you can Google tips and stuff for healthier social media use. It's very easy to become addicted to your phone. So just trying to be conscious of it, take back a bit of control has kind of helped me.
Anna, how did you cope with criticism about stuff that you've made or produced personally?
I don't think we've had too much criticism on social media in particular. In general, like criticism with films and stuff that we've worked on, me and Nadja actually in second year, we had a interesting experience. Film school can be a place where people's like emotions get really heightened because they're so invested in what you're making, and everyone wants the best for the film, and they sometimes can, personalities can clash and stuff like that. So we've definitely come across some toxic people, and we've just tried to mediate and work through it, and try to remember that this is very specific to film school context, but that everyone does want the best for the film. But yeah, ultimately, it comes down to I think you just need to, like, criticisms about the film in particular, like, you have a vision and you need to stick to it. And there's always going to be very opinionated people, and people who know nothing about film, but they just want to like criticize what you've done, or say they could have done a better job. But there's also the opposite, like, oh, sorry, you go. Sorry. I was gonna say there's also the opposite, like, you just need to be conscious that is like, there's those people, but there's also like a lot of praise and supportive people. and your brain has a bias to remember the bad stuff. So again, just trying to be conscious of, you know, all the good there is and everything that you have achieved. And some people with really dumb opinions, just trying not to let them get to you, really.
Yeah, if you don't mind me jumping in. I personally haven't really had any experience with negative feedback online, but as Anna referred to, during second year on our drama production film, we did have a few issues with the crew. And from that experience, I'm actually kind of glad that we did go through a bit of a rough patch in second year, because it taught us so many things we could take into third year when we made our graduation film. So yeah, there's always going to be people who clash, and there's always going to be people who try to tear you down. But I think, like Anna said, if you focus on the people who actually do want the best for you and support you, you just need to block out the negative voices and focus on what you need.
Yeah, and just to jump in again with Nadja, I guess it's also interesting to see that the people who were most opinionated and kind of spoke out against me and Nadja, and you know, were spreading gossip and rumors about us and our production. Some of them didn't graduate film school, and none of them work in the industry now. So, you know, the people who are going out of their way to spend their time tearing you down, like, they're not working on their own careers, and they're not, like, you know, they're just, yeah, not the type of people to waste your time and energy with.
There's so much truth in that. You know, I think it doesn't change even as you get older, unfortunately, you know. But I think the good thing is that when you have people around you who are authentic, that truly are there for all the right reasons, that want to see the best in you and continue to do good things, you know, you can tackle all the hard stuff of life out there. And I think that's why it's so important that we are able to encourage more women to be behind the scenes, creating short films and documentaries about real issues, as much as it is the ones that are performing in the roles, you know, that are written for them. Kaede, did you have something you might like to add in regard to, you know, different social media streams and how you deal with that?
Yeah, I don't think I'm the best person to talk about this, because I try to stay away from social media at all costs, because I will get addicted to it and I will start doom scrolling through it. But yeah, I think it's quite funny. This is sort of off topic, but about what Anna and Nadja were saying about clashes within film school. I think that's happened to me as well. I think it's an all film school thing. I think in particular for me, my cohort only had 2 female students in amongst, I think, 13 male students. So first and second year was especially hard for the both of us, the female students, to try and get our voices heard on top of all of these dominating male students. But we got there in the end, and by third year, I think we had a mutual respect, and I think it was great to have a community behind us of female students in upper years and lower years, just all banding together. So yeah, just find your community and stick with it.
The power of the tribe. And I think, you know, that's just as relevant in everything that we do in life, you know, even when it comes to human rights and social justice issues. It is disproportionate in regard to how it impacts on women, but we have a lot of men that are out there supporting us too. And I think you'll find, you know, with the people that have worked on your productions, a lot of the guys there, you know, are there because of all the right reasons. You know, it's about the message, it's about that collective voice. And, you know, we want to stop this toxic behavior. And it's really sad when you consistently hear, no matter what profession you're in or what you're studying or what you're doing, that these kind of behaviors still exist. And you just sort of go like, where does this come from? How do we actually stop this? But anyway, I'm mindful of time and we're doing really well. And I'd like to just acknowledge Michelle for joining us as well. She's our resident midwife and also a lecturer with a lot of our Indigenous graduate scholarships as well. And that's been another project with our Simni Club for the last 10 years, is supporting graduate Indigenous midwives. Michelle, are you able to show your face and come online?
I can, but I'm ironing.
I've
got to go to work at 1 o'clock, so I'm like ironing away madly. So
that's it.
Yes, I agree with what the girls said, you know, and especially what Kathy said as well about COVID and the effect that it's had on people's mental health. And that includes primary school children as well. So it's affected a lot of people. And I think the girls are doing everyone proud, especially us group of women, because you're following what you want to do and you're making a difference. And obviously, media has been very male dominant. I think that you're the trailblazers and you'll keep on going for us, which is really good. So thank you.
I think one of the other joys with Michelle is over the 10 years that we've been providing a scholarship for the graduate Indigenous midwives, she's had a chance to work intimately with them and obviously see some of those graduates now become mothers and practicing.
I have a lot of students across the board, you know, not just midwives, and across the board the impact of COVID has affected many students, and I think it's the strong ones that have stayed on. And so you girls are a group of strong women, and you should always remember that when you're faced with those kind of challenges, that you are strong. And that's, yeah, anyway, I'll just keep going otherwise. So, yeah.
And Beck, would you like to say a few words? You've worked really closely with people with disabilities and mental health issues, a lot of young people, particularly those that have struggled with, suicide, losing some of their friends as much as struggling with their own mental health. Beck, are you still there? Maybe? She might have just disappeared. But Beck and several of the other members from Simni in 2020, we did a series of interviews which was looking at coping with mental health, and that was really important. Fiona, are you still online? Are you able to come in and join us? Yes, she is.
Yes, absolutely. Hello.
Yeah. So would you like to share some of your thoughts around what our aspiring young Simni creative members are doing, but in your own perspective, looking at, getting messages out there so that women's voices count? I mean, you're an elite athlete and have excelled at very many levels in your own personal career, but you've also experienced lots of other ups and downs along the way too in that space.
Yeah. Again, just incredible work, ladies. Like just to craft a story the way that you have, to pursue the careers that you've chosen. The arts it's almost like amateur sport, which was my background. It's like you can't make a career out of that, but you absolutely can. And I think what's quite incredible as well, and I'm hoping that you're already starting to realize that so much of what you've learned in film school, being able to stand in your own power and know that you have something important to say, and then have the courage to say it, and then no matter who comes up against you, still continue to speak your truth, and to use film to do that, to challenge our mindsets, to challenge our biases, to prompt us and to think differently, to challenge your audiences to think and feel different things. Such an incredible medium, and the more women we can encourage to speak their truth, stand in their truth, and own it, it's just so important. And I wonder for you three as well, the challenge, and to what Kathy was saying around the drop-off in bursaries applications. Is there a way that each of you could pay it forward? Is there someone in first or second year at your film schools that you could go back and have a conversation with? You know, one of two women in a cohort of 15, Kaede, like, you know, if someone had come back and spoken to you in that first or second year, would that have, you know, prompted you to keep going even more? You know, you guys are staying the course, and you're now, you know, moving out of the training and education piece and into your fully fledged career. So that would be, you know, for me, encouraging you guys to go, how do you keep encouraging more women, you know, high school aged women, to take up the mantle and to find their voice, to stand in their truth, and to use whatever medium speaks to them, to inspire, to challenge, to encourage, and to help more and more women and girls be courageous for each other and for the planet that and, you know, the communities that we live in. So congratulations to all of you. Well done. So delighted for you all, and I look forward to seeing many more little credits going, oh, that's an Anna, you know, creation. That's a Kaede creation. That's a Nadja creation. So I look forward to seeing where your careers go.
Great, thanks, Fiona. Trishi from China, would you like to make a few comments or share some thoughts with the girls? You need to unmute, Trish. We can't hear you. There you go.
Good morning, everyone. I think that's absolutely amazing to think that those three young women can have the time and choose the crew and write the story and the locations and put over such a long time to make such an amazing 15-minute movie. Is just incomprehensible to me to think that it takes so long and such a lot of hard work. And I just want to say congratulations and look forward to seeing lots more of the three young, gorgeous girls in the future. And I wish you all good luck and good fortune. And it's amazing, absolutely amazing for me to see all that. I had no idea that you were supporting these students in the club. So it's new to me, and I think it's a wonderful endeavour. So congratulations, everyone. It's wonderful.
Thank you, Trishi. Audrey, would you like to share a few thoughts?
Right. Can you hear me now? First of all, I'd like to say that in the movie, when she stabs that guy, it chills right down my spine. So I was really engrossed in the movie. And yes, congratulations to you ladies. Keep doing what you're doing. There'll always be knockers. It doesn't matter what you want to do. There's always someone who will try and knock you. They can't do it themselves, but they'll criticise you. So you just hang on to your ideals and ideas, and just keep. I've lost the word I wanted to use, but just be sure of what you're doing and keep on doing it, regardless of what other people say.
Yep.
What I mean is keep on your dedication. Be dedicated to what you're doing, regardless of what other people say.
Wonderful. Thanks, Audrey. And Kathy, would you like to just share a few words if you're able to? I know you're out in the open, so it might not be easy to...
No, I'm not actually. I've got a...
sorry, Kathy. I meant our Kathy Evans.
Oh, sorry.
No, but that's okay.
It's two. Excuse the background noise, please. Just as I'm about to speak. I think it's very positive to hear, and I've yet to see the film, but Tricia sent it to me, the link, so I will be watching it as soon as I'm off or when I'm home. But just from hearing you three talk, I think you're in the right mindset, and I probably also relate well to what our Michelle says, because I'm also a student at uni, and I understand the trouble that you've been going through and having the COVID. I mean, it's affected us at Simni with our Zoom meetings and everything rather than face to face, but to do it as a uni student takes real perseverance and strength and, positivity, and just to be proactive. And also what you were talking about before, I think Fiona mentioned it too, about holding on to your own ideologies and your ideals, and just knowing your pathway and your journey, and just staying true to yourself and what you hold in your own self as being important. So I feel like you're all on the right track in that regard, and that's really, really good to see. As I said, I haven't seen the video, but just from listening to you speaking now, it's quite impressive, and it's always impressing me when, to see the younger people coming through and being quite positive and proactive. There's so much negativity around, and and as you say, there will always be knockers, and that's just life. But you have to learn to sort of take what they're saying on board, but do your own thing anyway, and just be happy and comfortable with where you're at, and as a person, who you are, and know that yourself is the most important thing. Be true to yourself.
That's great. Thanks, Kathy. All right, well, it's nearly 12 o'clock. What I'd like to do is just end the formal recording now, Trish, if that's okay. And for those that would like to stay around a little longer and just have a general conversation,